So it was a very eventful day for the Trump administration. They packed a lot in today, starting with an Oval Office visit, and then the South Korean president was there. And he also is floating a military presence in Chicago, but kind of like a vampire, only if invited in. But before we get to there, I'd like to discuss a few things I've noticed. Please hit like and subscribe, comments in the comment post. Really do appreciate it if you've watched even this far. So Trump, one, stole the World Cup trophy. He stole it. We just watch this video right here where the FIFA president talks about this trophy and how only a few people get to touch it, and it's solid gold. And Trump grabs it and then just says, "Can I keep it?" And guess what's on his desk today? He stole it.
Since you are a winner, of course you can as well touch it. It's pretty heavy. Yeah. It's the winner trophy. The last one who lifted that is Lionel Messi of Argentina. And here it is in the Oval Office in the White House.
Can I keep it?
For you.
Now, that's not the only bizarre thing that occurred here. And that's another thing I've noticed in all these Oval Office executive order signings and his little visits or impromptu press conferences. Has anybody noticed that there are a ton of cabinet secretaries that are there with him for all these things? In just today alone, you had the vice president, secretary of Homeland Security, secretary of Defense, head of the Marshal Service, attorney general. Do these people not have departments to be running? That's literally some of the largest departments in the federal government that just seem to be sitting around the Oval Office or sitting around the White House waiting for a photo op or for Trump to use them as props. This does not look like a cabinet of a president. This looks like a royal court. They look like courtiers. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, sue me. I'm not a royalist. They look like they're in a royal court and are waiting to attend the king. That is essentially what these people look like at this point. It is so un-American. It's just crazy. And that's not even to mention that the hand bruises were on full display today. So he clearly had an IV treatment of some type. I love how everybody tiptoes around this thing, but you can't work in healthcare or be around people who work in healthcare. And any nurse wants to drop a line in the comments or something. Those are clearly IV marks, probably based on his venous insufficiency and his ankles and various other things. I would say it's probably for dialysis. I would not be surprised if he had a PICC line somewhere. But that's for other people to talk about. They were just on full display today. And as Drudge Report noted, they were on both hands, or he was definitely trying to cover it up. The other thing I want to mention before we get into the idea of the military in Chicago is Trump's meeting with the South Korean president. Now, I know there is a political party. I don't know which one that is, if it's the left wing or the right wing, but I know there is a political party in South Korea that wants reunification with the North Koreans, with very few conditions placed on the North. Trump floats the idea in this meeting. I don't know what political persuasion the current South Korean president is. I could look that up. I might, if I do, it'll be up here. I'll post it up here in the just while I'm talking here. It'll just go right up there. But Trump floats this idea of him brokering a meeting between the South Korean president and Kim Jong-un, and Trump's like, "Oh yeah, I could probably get that to happen." I think the most galling thing to me is the idea he brings up the comfort women of the Imperial Japanese Army in World War II. This is a man who is stunningly uninterested in history. He is absolutely, yet he knows the comfort women of Japan. What? Dude, my man, you have not released the Epstein files yet. You have not released the Epstein files yet. Let's not remind everyone that your basically only proficiency in history happens to be where women are abducted and forced into heinous acts against their will. The idea that you know that, but you don't know basic facts about the Revolutionary War of the United States or the Civil War or even the 1920s is very, very evident of where your interests lie. So, Mr. President, maybe not broadcast that to the world, that is your knowledge of history. Just a thought. So now going into this idea of a military presence in Chicago due to crime. First of all, this DC thing, I have mentioned in a previous video that technically, very technically, he can do what he's doing in Washington, DC. It's allowed in the Constitution because DC is a federal district and thus is controlled by the federal government. However, their intent was always to use DC to normalize the idea that they can do this in other US cities. They cannot. I know we say unprecedented. I know we say, oh no, he can't do that. And then he goes ahead and does it. But this should be a red line for every American. What's the famous saying from Benjamin Franklin, one of the founders? Those who give up liberty for temporary safety deserve neither. That's sort of where we're at here. We should not have tanks and troops in US cities to fight crime, especially not when crime has been trending down every year. And this idea he floats, this complete fabrication, just a complete lie in the Oval Office about crime in DC. I have friends in the food industry in DC. I can guarantee you, people were not afraid to go to restaurants 6 months ago. People were not afraid to go to restaurants 4 months ago. People were not afraid to go to restaurants 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. It is a completely made up, fake statistic that he pulled out of his ass to try and justify the idea that there are tanks around the Washington Monument. Period. And J.B. Pritzker gave an excellent speech outlining how just hypocritical all this is. That you have a president that wants to put troops into an American city to fight crime and protect the people, all at the same time, his administration has cut things that would actually protect the people. They've cut, police funding. They've cut other types of funding that demonstrably lead to a reduction in crime. So maybe we should get him to stop focusing on crime and start focusing on bringing our grocery prices down like he promised. Because for damn sure those aren't going down. And we lost the growing season because of the ice raids. So grocery prices are only going to go up. There's videos from 2 months ago where this is the time frame we're in. October is when it's really going to bite. We're 1 month away from the highest food prices that we'll have. And it will just stay that way for about a year because you can't magic in crops. You can't just wave a hand and make food appear. You have to grow it. We missed the growing season. There was no one here to pick it. So I appreciate it if you've made it this far. Please hit like and subscribe, and talk to you soon.